Hello and good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Year 9 Options evening. And fantastic that so many of you can join us here, which is a slightly unusual setup. I'm really grateful to Mrs. Rowe and the whole team of staff who have enabled this to happen tonight, and thank you for joining us. My name is Mr. Allen. I'm one of the deputy heads with an overview for curriculum, and I'm not going to take up very much of your time this evening. I'll be handing over to Mrs. Moulton in just a minute. But normally, if we were in a school and we were in the main hall having a presentation, I would show students and parents and carers a mobile phone that I have that dates back to probably the 1990s or something like that. It's a bit of a block. And one of the things I talk about is how technology changes very quickly over time, and skills and knowledge that we used to have back in those days are not necessarily so relevant now, or they've been overtaken now. And the fact that we're having this meeting here today online, conducting things in a very different way, remote learning, the lessons that we're doing with our students every day, is a testament to skills that I've had to learn very quickly over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And the point is that while knowledge is really important, and the subjects that you students take for your options, the knowledge that you get is really important, the qualifications you get are really important. There's also that element of skill and that adaptability and that flexibility, because none of us knows what the future is going to hold. We don't know what skills, what technology is going to be like in 5-10 years time. And so the sorts of choices that you're making, that you're starting at the moment to make, is about becoming the kind of person that can be adaptable and flexible and prepared for success in the future, whatever that future might look like. And so it's my great pleasure to welcome you here this evening as a start of a journey with you over the next few weeks and months, as we help you plan for that successful future. You're going to hear from Mrs. Moulton in a little while. She's going to talk you through the thinking behind our options offer and the processes. And we'll be looking at your questions that you've submitted beforehand, as well as questions that you submit during the course of the evening. This is a phase for you to explore and to make sure, students, that you have got as much information as you possibly can have ready to make these important choices. And we're here every step of the way to support you and to encourage you and to help you make the very best of your choices. So enjoy the evening, and thank you for joining us.
Apologies, first technical hiccup, I forgot to unmute. So first of all, I'd like to echo Mr. Allen's welcome and say thank you for coming along this evening. You will be aware we started the process quite a few weeks ago when we first returned to remote learning with our Future Fridays. The people you can see in the photos on the screen at the moment have all been involved in the process and will continue to be involved from now through to the end of February, when you make your final choices. So as Mr. Allen said, please do get as much information as you can, and do seek support from your tutors and any of the people on the screen. Something to be aware, I'll just try to move on. So year 9 is a time when you get control over what you study in Key Stage 4, but I think it's important to acknowledge you are on a 7-year journey here at Exmouth. So you're coming towards the end of your Key Stage 3 education, and that's actually where you've been following a really broad curriculum, developing lots of knowledge and skills in lots of different subjects, and all of those subjects, all of the knowledge and all of the skills help you to achieve higher grades in your GCSEs and A-levels. As you move into Key Stage 4, you get a little bit more of a focused curriculum that you've had control over, and you hopefully have made, with all the information you've gathered this evening from our Future Fridays assemblies, from the information coming out over the next few weeks, that you have made the best choice for you. And then obviously we want you to remain with us into our sixth form, where we truly start to help you unlock that potential, become the best version of yourself, so you're ready to embrace the world at the age of 18. Some important information regarding GCSEs. So some of you may have older siblings or may know people who've been through GCSEs previously. So some of the key features of the GCSE curriculum that are now in place. Subjects have majority of terminal examinations. That means all of the content is examined at the end of the 2-year process. Okay, previously there might have been modules, but now the majority of subjects have terminal examinations and there's no opportunity to reset. In 2015, when the GCSE courses and were all reformed, there was a stronger emphasis on what they called an academic, a more rigorous curriculum. And as a result of that, there is some increased depth of content that you must study through Key Stage 4. But you shouldn't be concerned about that because, as I said, you are on a 7-year journey and all your teachers have already been preparing you with the foundation to be successful in your GCSEs. One of the big things were obviously they went to numerical grades. So grade 9 being the top down to grade 1, and in a lot of subjects now there is very minimal coursework. We're really lucky in Exmouth you are able to opt for some subjects that still have coursework elements, but it has been reduced quite a lot in a number of GCSEs. Just as well, that it's different. Every child or young person is expected now to stay in education or training until the age of 18. So just to make that clear. Some other things just to be aware of, post-16 course providers are looking for higher grades now, and there is a bit more competition for places. Universities are now taking GCSE grades into consideration. So previously we had AS exams at the end of year 12, and then we had A2 exams at the end of year 13. A levels now are a 2-year course and you only do exams at the end of year 13. As a result of that, the GCSE grades are the last external qualifications a university can see, and some universities are now starting to take them into account when you apply to university. And also modern apprenticeships, loads of modern apprenticeships are becoming more available, but again, obviously they are quite popular, so they are becoming a little bit more competitive. And again, we want to support you, make the right choice to keep your options open and to get the best grades you can. Just to be aware, the government have brought in what's called the English Baccalaureate suite of subjects. So that's seen as giving students a broad, balanced curriculum and a broad range of skills and knowledge to help them pursue whatever they wish in the future. So English language and English literature is studied by all students, maths, science, history or geography, modern foreign language, and just to be aware, the EBAC, so the English Baccalaureate, is a pathway, a suite of subjects, which is ideal, but it doesn't give you a separate qualification in its own right. So it's just seen as a core element of our school curriculum to give you a broad range of skills and knowledge. Just to be clear, all students, so all of our students, when they go into year 10 and 11, study the same core subjects. So as I said, you all study English language, English literature, you all study mathematics, you all start on the same science course, and then as you move through, you either go into a triple course or a double course. We all study religion, philosophy and ethics. There is also still a core physical education programme. Really important that you remain physically, mentally and socially healthy. So you still have an hour of core physical education a week. And you also have your lesson 42 on a Wednesday, and then you do get 3 further options. Okay, so that is the same for all subjects. Just in terms of the English and maths, something that to be aware of is at the end of year 11, if you don't achieve a grade 4 or higher, you will carry on studying English or maths in post-16. Okay, so you would study some additional English and maths alongside your post-16 courses should you not achieve a grade 4 in year 11. Okay, and just science, so this links to some of the questions that had been submitted prior to this evening. In years 9 and 10, all the students follow the same science curriculum. They all study the same topics to the same depth. That allows students to enter either the double or triple awards. As you get towards the end of year 10, into year 11, students then who are showing to be highly achieving, so they've had good application to learning, they are making good progress in their science, then they would be invited to study the triple award, so where you would do physics, biology, chemistry. So it's open to everybody until you get towards the end of year 10, and then a decision is made should you, because based on your learning and progress, you proceed on to the triple award, or that you consolidate your knowledge, understanding and skills and continue with the double award and get the highest possible grade in them. Just to break up the evening, we have put in points like this where we're going to draw in different people to answer some of the questions you had submitted in advance. So this evening, hand over to Mr. Holt.
Good evening, everybody. I was just waiting for the thumbs up there from one of my colleagues. Thanks ever so much, Miss Moulton. And if we can just pop along to the next slide, because one of the questions that has arisen from a couple of parents, and often parents that have got children in year groups that have gone through previous, and we have offered Twilight, which is an additional subject to the typical curriculum offer. And as you've just heard, there's a number of reasons why we've looked at that, and we've discussed it with staff in the school, with leaders and with governors. And what we are aware of, and what you've just been made aware of, is that the Twilight subjects were offered when GCSEs were kind of before they have been reviewed and changed, and now they are considerably harder, more complex, and with increased content, as you've just heard. So what we've decided to do is consider what would put the student in the best possible place to achieve well as they progress through Key Stage 4. So thinking about their future for employment, education and training, and kind of the old number of A stars to C and the quantity of GCSEs is not something now that employers and educational establishments are particularly interested in. They are far more interested now upon the quality of the qualifications that the students achieve. And you'll hear a little more as the evening goes on regarding the students, what we call a Progress 8 curriculum. So now it is the suite and the profile of GCSEs that the students get. So what we really are looking for is how can we best support students to do well across all of their GCSEs. And one thing that we've considered is by giving the students more and more GCSEs to study, it puts them under even more pressure. So really we're considering, you know, along the 2-year journey, they've got to study more GCSEs, potentially will put more pressure on them. But as you can see from the slide there, even for the core subjects alone, the students will be expected to study around 15 exams, and then you'll have all the additional exams that the students would have to study for their other subjects that they'll choose. And that's only across an exam period, typically of 25 days. So the pressure that can create for students, we just think is not really in their best interests. So what we've decided to do is we've got the current process and the information that you'll have to hand now, but when the children do meet with their tutors, if they do have a desire and they would like to know about the potential of studying an additional qualification, they can make that known to their tutor. And what we'll do is we know that you will trust us to make the right decisions based upon all the information for the students. So we would look at how many students have shown a particular interest to find out whether they could study an additional qualification. Then we would look at that in terms of the viability, whether it's possible to do. And the other thing to consider is, whilst we believe that the students can do really well in the curriculum that we can offer without the need necessarily for a Twilight, students can then study additional extracurricular activities at the end of the school day, and that will help them with personal development and just to enjoy the love of some of the other subjects and activities. So hopefully there, you'll understand, the reasoning behind why potentially that's been removed from the current curriculum process, but still we retain a great breadth of study for all students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Holt. So the students have already seen this in our Future Fridays assemblies. I know hopefully you've had the opportunity to go through our options booklet, and you will see that all students do have 3 pathways to choose from. So as I said earlier, all students study the same core subjects, and then depending on which baccalaureate option they go for, they choose different subjects to fit in. Okay, so as I said, the core subjects are always the same. If you go down the English baccalaureate route, so in order to be recognised as having that suite of subjects that fulfills the English baccalaureate requirement, you would need to choose either history or geography as your first option. You would then choose a modern foreign language, and we're really pleased that Latin is on offer again in the core curriculum. So you could choose French, Spanish or Latin, and then you can choose any other subject you wish in option 3. Okay, some of the questions that did come in were, could you study history and geography and a modern language? And yes, of course you can. You could choose history in option 1, Spanish in option 2 and geography in option 3. So you can do that. Similarly, you could, if you wish, choose geography in option 1, Spanish in option 2 and French in option 3. So you could still also study 2 languages. Another question that came in was about if you didn't do a twilight, do you still have 10 GCSEs? Well, actually, the English Baccalaureate, if you study triple science, you would still have 10 GCSEs. Okay, so the English Baccalaureate with studying triple science through year 11, you are still studying 10 GCSEs. Okay, so that's the English Baccalaureate pathway. The sorry, I should have said there, in order to be classed as having the baccalaureate, you are aiming to get those subjects at a grade 5 or higher. Okay, then we have the Exmouth Baccalaureate. So within the Exmouth Baccalaureate, again, all the core subjects are exactly the same. And again, referring to some of the submitted questions, science, you would have the opportunity to do triple or double, depending on your learning and your progress throughout from year 9, 10 into year 11. Okay, then in option 1, you do need to choose one of these subjects. So as we said earlier, the government have put stipulations within the school curriculum in terms of keeping broad breadth of balance, and one of the things they have asked is that students do study one of these subjects. And when Mr. Holt referred to Progress 8 earlier, one of these subjects fulfills part of some of the Progress 8 requirements. So you should, in option 1, choose French, Spanish, Latin, history, geography or computing, and then you can choose any other 2 options. Okay, again, you can choose 2 from that first option. You could, for example, do French and Spanish and then dance, for example, or you could do Latin, history and art and design. Okay, so they can mix and match, but one of your options does have to be from that first group. And again, you will still have 9 or 10 GCSE equivalents based on whether you do triple or double science. Okay, then we're really lucky because Exmouth is a larger than average secondary. We have more resources that we can then offer also another pathway. So it's called our Discovery Baccalaureate. Okay, again, if you do the Discovery Baccalaureate, the core subjects are the same. So you would still study the same core subjects and the same GCSEs as everyone else. Then in option 1, you would choose either history or geography. Generally, the Discovery Baccalaureate is open to students who have been part of the Discovery stream in Key Stage 3. What we are able to do is during your GCSE Discovery History Geography, you are able to have that extra support for your humanity subject. And the subjects are taught in an auditory processing friendly way. What that does is actually carry on some of the input you've had throughout Key Stage 3, carry on developing your working memory, which actually then does benefit your other qualifications as well. And it also helps you improve your skills in your English language assessment. And again, if you do the Discovery Baccalaureate, you would be studying 9 GCSEs, as generally students on the Discovery Baccalaureate would do double science rather than triple, so they would have 9 GCSEs. Okay, so that's our 3 pathways which are open to you here at Exmouth. So again, why do we have pathways? So we can give you some really good advice. So when you come for your one-to-one meetings with your tutor, or with myself, or with Mr. Allen, or with Mr. Smith, or with Mrs. Leslie, and we will look at what your prior attainment was at primary school. We will look at your performance through Key Stage 3. We will look at how you learn and what your preferred styles of learning are. We know the EVAC suite of subjects are important, but obviously if it's not right for you, then we will help you with that decision as well. And there isn't an easy option. So it is important that you know all subjects at Key Stage 4 are equally challenging, okay? And you will be required to sit terminal exams in the majority of the subjects, okay? As I said, as a large college, it is fantastic that we are able to offer so many opportunities and so many qualifications at GCSE, at Key Stage 4 level for you. Okay, within the booklet, you will have noticed there are some qualifications that are GCSE, some are BTEC, there's a Cambridge National Award, and there are technical awards. All of these qualifications are what we call level 2, so they were all on the same level, okay? And when you go into post 16, you then study level 3, so level 3 qualifications, which again could be BTECs and A-levels apprenticeships. Obviously, if you progress on then into university or onto a higher apprenticeship, you would then go into level 4 qualifications. So just to bear that in mind, that actually, even if a subject is a BTEC or a technical award or a Cambridge award, it is still the equivalent of a GCSE subject. And again, so fortunate you're in a large school where we can offer these different types of qualifications and even offer them within some subjects. Okay, so watch out for that in the booklet, that some subjects will offer more than one type qualification. So for example, in PE and sports studies, there is an option to do a GCSE PA, but there's also an option to do a V certificate in health and fitness. So that department are able to offer 2 awards. All of our subjects have prepared information films which are currently being edited. So every single subject will have an individual information film which will be released on Monday next week, we're hoping for, once all the editing is complete. Students should also, and I know they already are, so I know a lot of Year 9 teachers and the subject leaders and the Key Stage coordinators have also been talking to students in their Year 9 teens lessons about the options available in their subject. And students, please do approach your teachers with any extra questions you have. We are here to help you make a good, informed choice for you. As I said, quite a large option of subjects available to you here at Exmouth. So this would be in your option 2 or option 3, depending on which pathway you choose. Again, this list is in the options booklet. It was emailed home a few weeks ago. It is also available on our website, and it is also in all of the tutor team files. Okay, so lots of places for you to see all of these different subjects available to you. And as I said, we have films made, currently being edited, available next week to watch. Just watch out, because some subjects do offer 2 qualifications, or also because there's similar content in certain subjects, we can't study them together. And that's just about keeping options open and that they kind of discount each other, so they can't be classed as 2 separate GCSEs. So for example, there's an art and design, graphic communication and textiles. You cannot study more than one of them, as they discount each other. So you would need to choose between one of them. Okay. Now, to give you a break from my voice, we do have Miss Kerry-Ann Craddock, so our assistant principal for Key Stage 5, and she again is going to answer some questions that you submitted prior to this evening.
Hi everyone, thank you for letting me join you this evening. Hopefully I'll see you all again in 2 years' time when we do the coursing options for post-16 selection, so it's a good opportunity to speak to you directly. One of the questions that came through was regarding what my GCSE options are required for our A-level options, and for the vast majority of our subjects, you will be able to access the A-level subjects directly, because you will do maths, you will do your sciences, you will do your English. Even subjects like dance, for example, if you don't choose it at GCSE, if you have a portfolio and evidence of dancing outside of school, you would be able to do A-level dance. And similarly with GCSE PE, if you've got a competitive sport outside of school, you would be able to come into the post-16 PE subjects without having doing at GCSE. But some of the ones that you do need to have, just as a glance, is you would need history, would need GCSE history, and this is all based on having the foundation of the knowledge to move going forward. History, geography, French and Spanish and computer science, you would need to study that GCSE if you wanted to take the option going forward into A-level, whether it be either 3 or 4 options you would select. For A-level art, you would need to study GCSE art and design. For product design, GCSE design technology. Graphics, you would need to study GCSE graphic communication, and for textiles, you could study either GCSE art or GCSE textiles. So hopefully that helps. We are building up the post-16 area of the website as well, so there's a section which clearly states the standard college entrance requirements to post-16, and obviously, and we also have subject-specific entrance requirements into post-16. One of the second questions was about options moving forward. I believe the language was best subjects for keeping my options open. There used to be a term which was called facilitative subjects, which was used at universities, and that was removed last year because there was a concern that universities felt that the curriculum was it was affecting some of the choices that they were doing. With regards to universities, what Miss Moulton said earlier is the same. So now universities, as she said, as a result of the removal of ASs, it's far more important with regards to the level of attainment matching the university you would like to go to. So some universities will stipulate they want grade 4s entrance requirements, some will say grade 5s, and then for the highest academic universities, they'll say grade 7s. They don't stipulate the subjects that you would choose, they stipulate the entrance requirements. So it would be grade 7 plus across all of your GCSEs for the most academic subjects. So for example, even studying geography at Oxford, you don't need to have studied at A-level, but you have to have grade 7 or above in those entrance requirements. We base it off making sure that it's broad, you have a broad options going forward, that you enjoy your learning, and that will naturally bring you into your selection for whatever you choose to do at post-18. So it'd be best to keep them as broad as possible, and that will allow for more options at post-16. As you can see, there are some who stipulate entrance requirements, and then that will allow you then to have more options again post-18. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Craddock. So where to next? So now we want you to start thinking about what you should do next, again, to make the best choice for you. Okay, so again, the options booklet is on the website. Any presentations we've done in our future Friday assemblies are saved in your tutor teams areas, so you can go back over those assemblies as well, and we do have another one this Friday also from 2 more subjects, and next week you will be able to watch the subject information films. So normally on this evening you get the opportunity to go around and visit the different subjects and talk to them. What will happen next week, all the films will go live on our website, and you will be able to watch each subject individually. Okay, and then again, any questions, please come and ask. Okay, so who would you go to if you need some support and you have some questions? Obviously, subject teachers. Subject teachers are key, first of all. We have last Friday and this Friday coming, you will have been introduced in the future Friday assemblies to the subject leaders of the subjects you haven't studied at Key Stage 3. So through them, you will have their contact information should you wish to. So for example, for business studies, you may wish to get in touch with Mr. Simon. Okay, obviously your tutors have been part of this process with you from the start of January, and they will continue being part of the process with you right through to the end of February when you make those final choices. Mr. Stock has been involved with us, not just as a Year 9 tutor, but also in the timetabling and the planning of the options process. I'm available should you need any help and support as well. And then we've Mr. Holt as the Assistant Principal of Key Stage 4, Mrs. Craddock, Mrs. Leslie as your Head of Year, and who potentially knows you as well and can help support and guide you make the correct decision, same as Mrs. Hall. If you do have any particular questions regarding any SEND, so any special educational needs, then obviously we have Mrs. Edwardson, we have Mrs. Tigwell and Mrs. Clements as well. So they are all available should you need some help or some advice or some support. We have Mr. Smith, our Assistant Principal for Pupil Premium and SEND. So again, he is available. And I know Miss Hunter has been contacting people as well from the PP team this week. So again, she has been in touch with you and you are welcome to contact her should you need support. And obviously Mr. Allen as well as our Deputy Principal in charge of Curriculum and Teaching and Learning. So lots of people available to you. Please do come forward with any questions or concerns or queries you have. It was really good Mrs. Craddock referred to this. So often there's so much information. How do you decide what is right for you? Okay, so hopefully we've started to make it clear, start to have it, keep options open rather. So make sure you do keep your options open. Some of you will already know or think you know where you want to go when you're studying at post 16 or even beyond. Some of you might not know at the moment, and both is fine. Okay, and again, like Mr. Allen said right at the beginning, how quickly the world moves on. One of the first slides I showed the students in one of our very first assemblies was the top 40 jobs 2 years ago, and we know they would be very different now. Now we've been through a global pandemic. So for you to make the best choice for you, the first thing you need to think is, what do you enjoy and what do you want to learn more in? So what do you show that willingness to learn and that interest in? Okay, then look at your report. So you had your data report in the autumn. What subjects are you making good progress in? Okay, and why are you making good progress in them? Is it because you're interested and you watch documentaries about it, you do wider reading in it? Is it because you have a love of the way that subject is laid out? Okay, so what are you making good progress in? Thinking about what type of learner you are. So there is a limit on the subjects that do have coursework in them, but we do have some. Okay, so when you go through the subjects, do maybe look out for them. If you think, oh, actually, I would like some subjects that do have some element of coursework in them or more modular approach, then do look out for those subjects. As I said, if you have an idea of what career you'd like, and as we have a think about that, and Mrs. Craddock gave us some ideas there on where to look for some information for that, and look at the entry requirements of apprenticeships or universities in terms of what career you might want. And then what qualifications does that require, and then maybe starting to look at what you might consider doing post 16. So as Mrs. Craddock said, there's not many subjects where if you haven't studied them at GCSE you can't study them at A level, but there are a couple, and Mrs. Craddock spoke about them earlier, so be aware of them if you want to keep the option of that subject open to you in post 16, that you would need to study it at GCSE. At the back of your options booklet, you have an individual learning plan to complete. That is really useful to get you thinking about what is right for you. In lesson 42 before Christmas, you were introduced to the Career Pilot website. We also had our Head of Careers and Enterprise with us in our assembly 2 weeks ago. She went through the Career Pilot again, an amazing website where you get to answer questions about you, and it starts to tell you about different opportunities out there that might suit your interests and strengths. So please do use that website as well. Also at the back of the form, the back of the booklet, apologies, there is this form. Okay, so you won't be sending this form in. So obviously with COVID, everything is very electronic at the moment. But you can use this form to help you keep a record of what it is you then want to choose and what you think you are aiming towards. Okay, so which of the 3 pathways would you like to study? then depending on which pathway, which of those options are you then going to take, and then from the long list of subjects available to you at the bottom, which ones of those subjects are you interested in? Okay, so there is that form at the back of the booklet. Okay, this Friday, to help us start to get prepared for your meetings, okay, so you will have one-to-one virtual meetings towards the end of February. Okay, on Friday, a Microsoft form will be sent to all students via email. Okay, that is just to get an indication of your current thinking. Please do not panic filling it in that you are making a choice. You are not. It's just for us to start to get an early indication of what you currently are thinking you might like to study, and it helps your tutor or myself or Mr. Holt or Mr. Smith or Mr. Allen or Mrs. Leslie be prepared a bit more for your one-to-one meeting, when we will then discuss that further and you have the opportunity to change should you wish. Okay. In terms of the one-to-one meetings, so some of you will already have started to receive those invitations. So anybody who is meeting their tutor or Mr. Allen, you have already received an invite to book your appointment using our Parents' Evening booking system. Okay, so please do check your junk email if you haven't got that, okay, because sometimes it goes in there. But also there are some meetings that Mrs. Leslie or Mr. Smith or myself are going to hold. For our meetings, I know Mrs. Powell at the moment has been sending out the Teams meeting invitations for those. And some of that is purely managing workload. If you can imagine, if a tutor has 28 students, trying to fit them all in a day is difficult. So we help support as well. Or it might be that we're just giving you a bit of extra time to help make your decisions. Okay. If you have not received the email for the Parents' Evening booking system, or you haven't yet received the Teams invitation from Mrs. Powell, then please do get in touch with Mrs. Powell and she will organise that for you, okay, or just check that it has been made, okay. So I think we're coming towards the end, and we did just set in some time in case there were any questions that came in during the evening. So I don't know if Mr. Stock or Mr. Allen have any that have come in.
Hello, Ms. Moulton. Thanks for that very much indeed. Mr. Stott, Ms. Craddock and myself have been looking at the questions coming in, so thank you for those. I think most of what's been coming up in the live Q&A has been covered by the presentation. I think the only thing we thought we would just pick up on was just to reiterate really the process for triple and double science. The science curriculum takes place in science time, so it's not an option as such, so students don't have to choose triple science or double science. All of the science curriculum will be delivered in science time, and then at the end of year 10 there will be an opportunity for the science department to reflect on the progress that students have made, and then make a decision in conjunction with parents and carers about what the best course would be. So some students will carry on with the double award and they will consolidate, they'll expand a little bit what they've done in year 10 and consolidate to make sure they get the very best and the highest level qualification they can in the double. And for those students that have made an appropriate amount of progress, who are ready and have got the capacity to take the triple science, then they will be entered for the triple science. So it's not something you have to decide now. It's about making sure that you apply yourselves as best you can in year 10, and then we'll see where we are by the end of year 10. But both routes allow progression into post 16. Triple and double science for post 16, but if you're going to specialize, then obviously whichever route you do, you'll want to be getting the highest scores that you possibly can in each of those relevant subjects, relevant sciences.
Oh, apologies, I had myself muted again. So one of the questions that came in again before this evening was, will I get my first choices? Again, as you are in a larger than average secondary school, the majority of students in Exmouth always get their first choices, okay? If anything does happen where there is a clash in the timetabling or where not enough students have chosen a particular option of that, then a second interview would take place. And you would have the opportunity to discuss that. To help with that, in your meeting, when you come in for your one-to-one meeting, you will rank order the options you are making. So you will rank order the options in terms of 1 to 4. And I think you will also be asked to do a reserve option. But the vast majority of people do get there first. Oh, well, sorry, I've been muted again. Not quite sure. So again, what would happen if I change my mind? So if you do change your mind, then there is the opportunity for you to let us know. Okay, so obviously we appreciate that all the choices are made the end of February, beginning of March. We are hoping that we have given you as much information to make you feel comfortable with the choices you are making. Okay, so we did start the process in January and we're carrying it on at the moment. So we are hoping that you are making the right choice for you. If afterwards you do feel and you reflect and you think actually the choices you've made are not the right ones for you, then parents or carers can get in touch with us and we would then look at how we could change your options. But please be aware that as soon as all the options are made, we do start timetabling for next year. Okay, so it may be that you want to change your options, but because of how the timetable has then been constructed, it may be that you want to do a combination of subjects that might no longer be possible. Okay, so that's why we're giving us lots of time to make the choices now. But you would be able to change your option, but it may be slightly limited depending on how far along in the timetabling process we are. Very rarely would you be able to change your mind once you have started the course. Okay, I think as we have said, the courses and qualifications in Key Stage 4 do have quite in-depth content, and as a result of that, even just missing 4 or 5 weeks at the start of year 10 does set a student back a little bit. Okay, so we would try not to be changing options in year 10 unless there were exceptional circumstances. Okay, and then something for me just to bear in mind is learning doesn't just take place in the classroom. Okay, so there is what we call the wider curriculum around school. I know at the moment we're a little bit limited with COVID in terms of what we can offer in terms of trips and visits and clubs and drama opportunities, 10 tours and that, but when you hopefully we'll be all back to normal soon, do think about what you are involved in outside of your curriculum, timetables, lessons, you know, for your balanced experiences. What are you involved in outside of your learning? What are your hobbies and interests, and how are you pursuing them outside of the classroom? And some of that is just as important as the knowledge and skills you gain during your learning in lessons. So I have reached the end of everything I had prepared to talk to you about. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if we have any other questions that have come in on the Q&A. It doesn't look like. No, so then obviously after now, if you do have any more questions, then hopefully you would be able to direct them to your head of year, to myself, to your tutor, subject teachers, and please do be in touch if there is anything you need from us to help you make the best choice for you. Thank you.